If I can have everyone's attention, we're going out of order for a little bit tonight. We're going to have a 5-minute public hearing on CCD. With that, I'll turn it over to President Tom Guston.
Chairman, not President, you're the President.
Okay. Stand in.
Okay. This hearing is for the CCD request, and we're going to have Haley do an explanation here.
Susan.
Not on this one.
Not on this one?
No.
No, it'd be Susan.
This is Susan.
Haley wants to.
Okay, this is the Susan one.
Right.
Okay. The request that we're making is for an increase of .0064 per 100,000. Am I correct on that,
Yeah.
Susan? Okay. Do we have any comments, any questions?
Thanks, Susan. If you had anything more?
No, it's just the CCD rate is set at a nickel. That's all it can be, is a nickel.
Susan, I'm sorry, for layman's term, what does that mean? Can you tell?
It can only be a nickel.
No, what it stands for, CC. What the
Capital development?
Should know what CCD means.
No, I know what it does, but not everybody does.
Community Capital Development Fund rate. And everybody, we pay 5 cents. After a certain period of time, that decreases, that rate will fall. So right now, we are paying 0.0436 cents out of that nickel. So the rate increase will amount to a 0.0064 of a penny. About 1/6 of a penny is what we're asking for.
So if we don't increase this, it's going to get less and less, and at some point we'll have to
You'll have
raise
to
it
bring it,
a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
So we're better off to do this in
they advise
lower
us
increments.
to raise it when it's just a minimal underneath the 5 cents to bring it back to the cap, because that way it doesn't impact it, because of, excuse me, if you've got like a $500,000 business right now, they were going to see about $32 a year increase with this rate increase.
So
A homeowner of $100,000, by the time they take their deductions and they pay on the net, not the gross value, so say if the net value or gross, the net comes down to $35,000, they're going to pay about $2.50 a year more taxes for this rate increase.
If we don't do it, it's going to be more than
It's
that.
just going to be more later on.
Right.
So they advise us to do it periodically, and they told us that it's time for us to raise our rate back up to the nickel.
Super.
Minimal impact.
that is a nickel per every $100 of assessed gross value.
Right.
So not just nickel per property, but $100 is every $100 value. So.
Yeah.
Do we have any comments, questions, criticisms? None? What's our next step?
I will pass this paper down,
Do we have to vote?
and if you approve it, sign your name on the A column. If you don't approve it, sign your name on the A column.
Okay.
Right, but that'll have to be called
No
to
vote
action
yet,
during the
so
actual meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you want it during the actual meeting?
Well, you can go ahead and provide that to
Oh,
them,
that's
but during the
fine.
actual meeting, they'll have to vote on that.
Okay. All right. So do we have to wait the whole 5 minutes? Okay.
It's only another minute.
You're almost there, Tom.
All right. Brent, thanks for consenting to be our pastor. We appreciate that. I meant to tell you that last meeting.
All right, that being said, I'll call the City of Peru Common Council meeting to order, March 2nd, 2020. It's
I need to close the public hearing first.
Before we do that, I'm going to announce that the public hearing will be closed as of this time. We will move forward with our March 2nd, 2020 meeting of the Peru Common Council. If everyone would stand for Pledge of Allegiance, being led by Tom Guston, and then remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we thank you for your goodness to us. We thank you for this great city that we live in. I ask you, Lord, that you would bless our mayor, our clerk treasurer, our city council, that you would fill their hearts with wisdom and understanding as they make decisions for our city. Bless our police and fire department. Keep your hand upon them. Lord, we ask that you'd bless our economy, that you would give us jobs when companies are looking for places to relocate, that we would find favor with them and they would choose Peru. Pray for our schools, our churches, and just this community, that you would bless us, favor us, and do great things among us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Roll call.
Anderson,
Here.
Guston,
Here.
Clotho,
Here.
Ramsey,
Here.
Russell,
Here.
Sahadashini,
I'm right here.
Wolf.
Here.
Reading and the correction of the journal.
I move we suspend the rules and dispense with the reading of the journal.
Second.
Roll call.
Anderson,
Here.
Guston,
Yes.
Clotho,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Sahadashini,
Yes.
Wolf.
Yes.
Communications.
I wanted all of you to know that on your liaison positions, if you are informed of anything that you think we all need to know about your situation, please let us know. We'd appreciate that. This would be the time for us to share that. With that in mind, I was also asked about a liaison for the library. We don't have one, will not have one, and we won't have one with the school board either. We're in the same situation that they are. We have no control over how they spend their money, okay? So we are only taking care of our situation with our liaisons. If you have any questions, why, ask me and I'll try to help you, okay? All right. Moving right along.
Next order of business, unfinished business.
Ordinance 2-2020, an ordinance to amend ordinance 18-2019, tabled from last month.
I move we adopt ordinance number 2, 2020.
Second. I'm sorry.
Okay, Anderson,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Clotho,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Sahadashini,
Yes.
and Wolf.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Susan, would you read what that ordinance was about in case somebody might have forgotten?
You want the whole thing?
Not the whole thing, just the introduction.
It was you're pretty much going to have to read it all if you want it.
I can sum it up. real quick.
Can we
It was the
let-
2019 wage ordinance for the 2020 year. The changes in that would be to the golf course and the parks department, as we talked about last time, and also changing in the payout structure of the HSA contributions to the city, to the employees. Instead of quarterly payments, it'll be semi-annually, so instead of 4 times a year, it's now just going to be twice a year. Up until last year, it had been one payout at the start of the year, and then there was a few issues with that, so the previous administration asked that it be moved to 4, and creates a little burden on some of the employees, so we're going to meet with 2.
Thanks, Destin.
Yep.
Okay, ordinance passed.
Think we ready?
Next, under new business,
Ashley Lowe request to add a policy to the working ADA transition plan, grievance procedure, and grievance form to be added. Ashley here?
Yes. Do you want me to talk about it?
absolutely.
Please.
Come up there?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
Okay.
Come up here and join us on the hot seat.
So basically, what you've got, if everybody has a copy of it, this is just a basic ADA grievance policy. And then if someone would have a grievance against our, saying they were discriminated against or they didn't have access to the building because they had a disability, they could fill out that form and submit it to the ADA coordinator, which happens to be me. Basically, this is just getting our transition plan rolling. Our city currently does not have an ADA transition plan. So if we ever want to have a large portion of federal funding, we will not receive it without a transition plan. So the street department and the traffic department are currently conducting our intersection and sidewalk inventory. That's going to be a big undertaking. So that's probably going to take a few months at least, and that would be if they devote significant time to it every day. And I know they're busy, so that it'll probably take a bit longer than that. But as long as we show NDOT that we are taking steps to make this happen and to do different parts of the plan, that shows that we're working towards the plan. We're not just like, oh, we don't have an ADA plan and we don't really care. So we start with just kind of these, I don't want to say template, but that's the federal form. You basically just take that policy, you tailor it to your city, as in like putting in your city name and your city ADA coordinator. Everything remains the same. Every city has the 15 days, the, such and such policy follow-up. I checked with about 5 other cities on theirs, and it's exactly the same as what we've got there, except they obviously have a different ADA coordinator. So that would just be a good step in the right direction, and as we get more things done, we'll just pass each part.
Thank you, Ashley. However, you should never use the term undertaking to an old person.
I should never use the term once.
Undertaker.
Oh. Okay. It's a significant project. Yeah, okay, deal.
Thank you, thank you. What procedure do we follow on this now?
Currently, we don't have any. We've never, I won't say we've never because then I don't want it to happen. If we would receive a complaint right now, we wouldn't have any parameters to follow, and somebody could say they either didn't respond in a timely manner, they wrote me off, they didn't receive it. It's almost equivalent to a FOIA request in that it just gives you parameters to operate within to basically kind of save yourself. Somebody would bring legal action against us.
Liability.
Right.
So Dustin, do we need to come up with some type of a written form for this?
It's already here.
That's what Ashley
With
proposed.
what we have?
Yes.
This, sorry. It's on there, the written form is there. If you look to
Money, do
3 of what Ashley.
we have to have any kind of a legal form to go with this? To say this is what we're going to do, or do we just say,
Are you talking about?
we're going to adopt this?
So it's a.
Do we have to consider it?
Right,
Or just adopt it?
I think we just consider it. I don't think we necessarily have to adopt this as our policy, as long as we consider it. And if we need to come back and bring it as an actual ordinance, I think a resolution would be sufficient.
Okay. In that event, I move we consider
Second.
this.
Second it. Second it.
You did second it? Thanks, Pete.
Anderson?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Lotho?
Yes.
Ramsey?
Yes.
Russell? Yes. Sahadashin?
Yes.
And Wolf?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along, resolution number 5 for 2020.
Susan, why don't you go ahead and say what it is?
Resolution number 5-2020 is a resolution establishing rate tracking factor for the municipal electric utility of the city of Peru, Indiana.
I move we consider this and
Yeah.
adopt it in one night,
Yeah.
tonight.
Second.
You're back.
Josh.
Been moved and seconded. We have a roll call, please.
Seeing a lot of you.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Susan?
Anderson?
Thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Justin?
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
Floco?
Yes.
Ramsey?
Oh, sure.
Russell?
Yes.
Sahadashini?
Yes.
And Wolf?
Yes.
Josh, you have the floor.
Well, thank you again. What I just handed to you, well, let's start at the beginning. Those of you that were in the tour, you got to, we had a discussion about why we have the tracker and what it does for us, but I thought I'd talk about it a little bit again. So the electric tracker is basically the utility's wholesale costs of electricity passed through to the customer. So we have a rate, we have a base rate, and in that base rate's built in all the O&M, all of the capital improvements, all of that, but the cost of electricity does fluctuate. And through IMPA, who is our wholesale electric provider, who we have a purchase power agreement through, they do fluctuate. And so every quarter we go back, we look back for 3 months and we say, what was our energy costs to provide to our customers? And so the tracker is basically the fluctuation in energy. Any type of raise, increase or decrease does not affect what we get on the operation and maintenance side, what we recover in revenue to put back into the system. So if it goes up a small portion, that money is a straight pass-through to the customer. We don't get any extra money. We don't have, it's not a rate increase as far as O&M goes and things that we put in our coffers. It's straight through. So our usual about $18 million a year is what we pay for power, energy. That include, and IMPA is the lowest in the state wholesale electricity provider. So that's every quarter. I'll be up here saying we need an increase or decrease, and it's usually very minimal. So in front of you is it starts at 2020, this current tracker increase, all the way down to 2017. So the blue line is each quarter where that lands over zero or under zero. Zero's in the middle. And the orange line is basically what our rate is from January, first quarter of 2017 to 2020. If you'll notice, that's still below zero. So our actual rate is less than it was in the fourth quarter of 2016, still, for 3 years, even with the fluctuations in the tracker. And if you'll notice, it's 0.004 cents, 0.002 cents, so 2/10ths of 1 cent, 4/10ths of 1%, sometimes it's hundredths of 1 cent. So, and today, in front of you, the resolution 5/2020, it is an increase of 4/10ths of 1 cent. And if you look, it fluctuates in the year. If you look trend-wise, first and second quarter are usually up a little bit. Second, third quarter are usually down a little bit, below zero. It just kind of fluctuates that way based on what our load is. And part of that rate is what our peak is for the month or for each month. And that fluctuates the rate as well. So if our peak's really high one month, we pay per megawatt on the peak. So if our peak's really high, say 50 megawatts, then we pay just a little bit more. That's a good thing. That means that our customers are using more power. It's usually the industry that pushes that. So today it's an average increase of about 4/10ths of 1 cent. Isn't that okay? I'm just going to stand here. I got more coming. So.
Do you have any questions for Josh while he's up here? I guess we have none. In that event, I move we adopt resolution number 5/2020.
Second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Justin?
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
Ramsey.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Sahadashini.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Moving right along, resolution number 6, 2020.
Resolution number 6-2020, an ordinance of the City of Peru authorizing the issuance of waterworks revenue bonds for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of certain additions, extensions.
Susan, you skipped a
Oh, did I skip it? Oh,
Yeah, this is number 6,
I numbered it wrong.
2020.
Oh, there's a resolution established rate tracking factor for the municipal water utility.
I move we consider and adopt tonight.
Second. Anderson?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Bogo?
Yes.
Ramsey?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Sahadashini?
Yes.
And Wolf?
Yes.
You're still up, Jeff.
All right. I like being up here. So this, we call it the rate tracking factor for Peru water. We also have one for Grissom that was put into effect last year for next year, not this year. Obviously, we don't want to go through that again this year. So according to Ordinance 28, 2016, the rates and charges set forth in the rate shall be subject to review and adjustment using the process set forth in Exhibit B, made part hereof and incorporated herein by reference. The review and adjustment shall be performed annually. It shall be the responsibility of Peru Utility Service Board to perform the review and adjustment calculations as required, and the adjusted rates and charges shall be submitted to the Peru Common Council. So really, Exhibit B is, you guys don't have any of that. It's just, this is the old ordinance from 2016, so this is what we go off of, that it should be done, and this adjustment should be done annually and reviewed annually. So it is the Consumer Price Index utility adjustment, and that calculation is actually given to us, that rate is actually given to us by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. And it's based on everything that is on the O&M side. So it's not what we spend on, we back out costs that are one-time costs. So I don't know, we bought a truck last year in Peru Water, we would back that cost out. So this tracking factor, what we call tracking factor, it doesn't apply to things like that. It's only based on the O&M side and the cost of materials, the cost of construction, the cost of our chemicals. And so the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission actually gives us this calculation, approved by Baker Tilly, who you all know that we use a lot of. And so then we put it to what those O&M costs were for the year. So in front of you, we are proposing 1.2%, which is, for a normal user of 3,000 gallons, 17 cents. And the reason that this is put in, and this is becoming more and more common throughout the state, the reason that this is put in, so in 2016, we had to raise the rates, I believe it was 56%, because it wasn't done previously and in Grissom, it was 126% on the residential side. It's significant, right? So this was put in place so that we didn't have to do that unless we had these huge projects that are coming up or whatever. And so just for some more information, 2016, it was 0.7%. That was 9 cents, around 9 cents a month for the residential customer. In 2017, it was 1.7%. That was around 20 cents per customer. In 2018, it was 2.37%. It was around 34 cents per customer for the minimum 3,000 gallons. So that's our normal customer. 2019 was 1.8% at 23 cents. And this one is at 1.2%. It's going to be about 17 cents. So these little, and what that gets us, another $1,000 a month in revenue. That barely pays for increase in gas and our chlorine and things of that nature. So it's going to good use. But again, it's pretty small increase, and I think it's the way to go with all our utilities, honestly. So we don't have to come back to you every 5 years and say, oh, by the way, we need 15%, 20%, because our costs have increased so much.
And that's based on 3,000 gallon usage.
Got 3,000 gallon usage, 17 cents.
Do we have any questions for Josh?
This helps not hitting the fixed income folks with an extra doubling their rate or whatever 10 years from now.
Okay. Since we have no further discussion, I move we adopt resolution number 6, 2020.
Second. Anderson,
Yes.
Huston,
Yes.
Clotho,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Sahadashini,
Yes.
and Wolf.
Yes.
Thanks, Josh. Oh, you're not done?
No, I'm not done.
He's just getting started.
Yeah.
Moving right along, next order of business is ordinance number 6, 2020.
Ordinance number 7.
Ordinance number 6-2020, an ordinance of the City of Peru authorizing the issuance of waterworks revenues bonds for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of certain additions, extensions, and improvements to the Grissom Aeroplex waterworks of said city, providing for the safeguarding of the interests of the owners of said bonds, other matters connected therewith, including the issuance of notes in anticipation of bonds, and repealing ordinance inconsistent herewith.
Dustin, do we consider and adopt both tonight, or just consider?
Yes, consider and adopt those.
Okay. I move we consider and adopt ordinance number 6, 2020.
Did
We
we
introduced
consider it last?
Gotcha.
Yep.
We didn't consider it last?
No, we just introduced it.
Okay.
Now, this
I
little
apologize.
jewel is like 27 pages long or something like that?
Which part?
Yeah. The one I had a question on the last.
You all
one.
got this last meeting. That's where we introduced it last meeting.
Yeah, I think that exhibit was 27 pages.
Yes, it was. It was. So I move we consider and adopt. Second.
Okay. Anderson,
Yes.
Guston,
Yes.
Clotho,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Sahadachini.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Yes.
So we discussed this last meeting,
Right. This includes both part 1 and 2, right?
Well, yes, the part 2, as you're indicating, that's the IFA agreement.
Yes.
And that is just an exhibit to the bond ordinance, is Exhibit B.
Exhibit B.
If I can find it. Yes, it's the form of the IFA agreement, and that's the Indiana Finance Authority. That's just part of the ordinance itself, so it's all, if
So
you
it's all
approve
like
the
this.
ordinance, you're approving that.
Got it. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Do we have any more further questions on that?
Yeah, do we have,
Last meeting?
anybody out there have any questions? Okay. I move we adopt
Second.
ordinance number 6, 2020.
Okay.
Been moved and seconded?
Okay. Henderson,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Clotho,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Sahadachini.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Yes.
If we can get the ball moving on this one.
While I'm up here, since that was passed, I'm full of good news today. We've been discussing the long-term control plan, if you guys remember that were there. We are a CSO community, a combined sewer overflow community, like Logansport and Huntington and Warsaw, and
Indianapolis.
Kokomo and Indianapolis and South Bend, and that IDIM and the EPA is going to force us to do some stuff. And it's time we started having a public conversation about what they're forcing us to do, and what they forced Logansport to do, and what they're forcing South Bend to do, and Indianapolis at $2 billion, and South Bend at $800 million, and Logansport at $75 million. And so we would like to get some sort of discussion, commission, work group together with a couple of you find people, the mayor, maybe some people from the Board of Works, a couple people from the community, and form a work group. Not a decision-making body, because the decision-making body is here in the Utility Service Board. And really, the decisions that are going to be made, we don't have a choice because our wastewater utility is in good financial shape. We could go for another probably 5, 6, 7 years without having to worry about our rates, but the government is forcing all the CSO communities to take action, and they don't care what the cost is. So again, we'd like to start thinking about forming a work group with 2 or 3 or all of it if you want. Of course, the mayor, Board of Works, some people in the community from different areas of the community to just, it's informational, to talk about the project, talk about where we're at, listen a lot, but talk a lot, communicate a lot. So just maybe think about it. I think I'm going to try to get in front of you maybe the May meeting and really throw the long-term control plan out there. We're still working through some things. Again, that's not something I really want to do. It's not something the utility wants to do. Financially, it's not something the utility, the city, or our residents can afford, to be honest with you. They can't afford it. They're not going to give us a choice. So this is going to be a large project. It's going to take a couple years, and we have to be in compliance, or we get fined $26,000 a day.
Wow.
So we have a few years to get it done, a few years for engineering. The engineering alone is going to cost us probably $4 million, just the engineering. We're working on a few short-term projects to lead up to the large project. We'd like to phase in how we're going to pay for it. There's going to be bond issuances, there's going to be rate increases, and we're just not going to have a choice. And I'm getting irritated just talking about it because it's unfair to the small communities what they're asking us to do. I mean, Logansport's going through it now. And I think what we're going to end up doing is bringing in some of those people in the work group, talk to them, and see how it's working for them. And they still have a few years left, but I think they're $35 million into it, and I think they have another 35 or 40 million to go, and they've already raised rates 4 times.
How soon are you thinking of getting the group together?
I'd like to do it before summer, when we get a few more answers. We're really pressing our engineer hard to try to get us, and working with them to try to get us smaller projects that lead up to the larger project, and so that we can phase in the rates and do some of the smaller things. But just keep in mind that, and whoever, it's open to everybody. We want everybody involved, and we want the public to understand that we don't want to do this. But we don't have a choice. So, and it's going to be significant. And most of you have kind of sat through that spiel. But we want to get more detail. I think probably Kathleen's the only one we got, and maybe Mark is the only one we got into the details of it. But it's going to be significant, tens of millions of dollars. And at this point, the path of what we need to do is basically it's a 13 by 13 foot square poured in place concrete pipe from the tennis courts to the other side of town on 2nd Street.
Josh,
26 feet in the ground.
excuse me.
I remember you talking about that, yeah.
Do we know when we have to have it accomplished?
It's supposed to be by 2025. We're supposed to start construction in 2023. Takes about 2 years it's going to take 2 years to get it done. And we really need the city involved as well, because 2nd Street is going to be a mess. We're going to need our police officers, our fire, emergency services. We're going to need them involved because we're going to shut down a block at a time under the current plan. We're working on other plans, trying to do other things, but
And if that's the plan, it'll be doorstep to doorstep.
it'll be sidewalk to sidewalk. It's because it's so deep, 26 feet in the ground. That's the current plan. And we're working through the costs and you know.
At what point do they do like soil borings to find out what the conditions like that deep?
We need to finalize the plan first, and then once right now it's just kind of the preliminary engineering report. Once we commission the engineering study, that's when that'll happen. So we're hoping to do that in the end of 2021 or 2022, for that portion of it. So, yeah, the cost, I mean, we don't know exactly what the costs are going to be. I can guess, they've guessed, but until we get into the ground and know what's in the ground, until we do some of these smaller projects, we don't know what our UVs can handle on the backside. So if we increase the flow to 20 million gallons a day, or now we're 3, 4, 5, and 6, depending on, except on a rain event. If we increase the flow to 20 million gallons a day or 25 million gallons a day, well, our UVs even handle it because they're out of date already. So that to get to that point, we have to do some other things in the system, and that will require some more funds.
As you know, Logansport, I've heard that they ran into a bunch of limestone and they're jackhammering it out because they can't blow it up in town. So it's one of those deals where that could really affect the budget when it comes to if there's plan A, plan B, plan C, if they do soil borings and find out this has no limestone as opposed to this is 15 feet down, we're all into limestone, and have that for a mile or whatever that is.
So. That will be part of the actual engineering plan, but that will be a couple years from now. I hate to bring that up here, but I thought while I was up here, I would at least start. We need to start having the public conversation. And it's,
So you need a couple of volunteers from up here?
yeah, think about it, 2 or 3 or.
I'm absolutely involved.
Yeah.
Count me in.
Yeah, I would love to volunteer too.
Okay. And so what we'll do is we'll get some people together from the community. We'd like to have a couple from the community because they really need to communicate with their neighbors, and everybody has to try to understand why. Because outside, if I just look at what's going on and not know why, it's just the utilities of the city trying to get more money, and that utility's in good shape. We don't need any more money in that utility. That's what ticks me off. We have a good rate, and we are still probably one of the lowest in the state for our wastewater fees in Peru. And I have a graphic for that, and you'd be shocked. But we can't. They won't let us stay there.
Josh, Tom, and Mayor, I'm wondering if it would be, we need to start thinking maybe each of us gather one person from from our districts to be involved, because if you say we're gonna have to, and we need to communicate so much, maybe even go door to door, that might be one. I mean, that's just something I'm throwing out there, I don't know.
Well, I
That's
think we
something
need to
we're gonna
start
have to talk
small.
about.
I think we need to start small.
Okay,
And try to work through the particulars and smaller details and
Right.
see how that communication's working, because we
Okay.
don't want to get everybody all worked
Right,
up and
right.
wrapped up in a frenzy and.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, so,
EPA could come back and repeal that.
well, we're kind of on a work group with AWWA to try to lessen the standards. They're not going to get rid of the standards, try to lessen the standards in a certain portion of how they regulate that. It's not going to make much of a difference, but, we've been trying.
Indiana House is not helping us either.
No.
House Bill 1165, was it, I think?
Which one is that? Sewer and?
No, it's about not being able to collect from deadbeats.
Oh, I haven't read that one. They've got one.
Oh, yeah.
They just put into place for
It was
sewer and
sent to the
water
Senate.
extensions that aren't helping us either, so.
And you're saying all these other communities are actually currently in the process,
They're
or
in the
those are
process, but
people?
they're not done.
Nobody's done it.
So you can't go and say, how's this working for you?
Okay, that's what I was wondering, if we had anybody to compare to that's actually went through the process.
Yeah.
I know that some of them are currently starting, but I didn't know if any of those communities had actually completed.
None that we know of. I think Indianapolis has been working on it for years, and they physically have a boring machine under Meridian, and it's 50 feet, I don't know how big, I mean, it's unbelievable how deep that is. And South Bend has been going through the same thing for years, and Chicago's been working on this since like 1970 something, so it's unfortunate. The whole reason for it is, at a certain point, a combined sewer overflow community cannot handle all of the rainwater that comes in and treat it as well. So that goes into the sewer overflow, and it actually goes into the Wabash River. Every river, every community, every old community in the nation does this. We have a certain amount that's okay to do, because dilution is the solution to pollution back in the 60s, right? So, and I'm not really the person to really be up here talking to you. It's our engineers and Jamin Bicycle, who's our Division Water Management Superintendent. He knows more than he's forgotten more than I know on this subject. And I would have brought him if I was going to bring it up and talk this much detail, but, so anyway, I think maybe in a couple months, do what?
It's important to know about.
It is, but we need to start having the public conversation. We need to start talking about it and getting it out there, and hopefully.
From what I understand, it affects Benton down to Cass,
Holland.
Down to,
Holland.
Yeah. So,
it's a big elephant in a small room.
yep. So, I'm done raining on you.
Thanks, Josh.
Now, thank you.
Thank you for listening.
You need an escort?
Do we need to vote on that last one? That was already a vote on 7.
We already voted, I think so.
Yeah,
We
we
already
You
voted.
voted
To consider and
to
adopt.
consider, did you vote to adopt?
Yeah.
Okay, both votes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that being said, we'll move on to ordinance number 7, 2020.
Ordinance hashtag 7/2020, an ordinance to vacate a north-south alley in the city of Peru.
I move we consider ordinance number 7.
Second.
Second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Bogo,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Sahadachny,
Yes.
and Wolf.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, this north-south alley, it's the northern part of it. Wayne Bunker owns the property 211 that is east of the alley. And the Plan Commission has voted no, 0-6. I'm not sure if the other property owner is here, 215. But they have a garage in the back of their house that faces out to West Main, and they use that as a driveway and like an easement into their garage. So that is why the recommendation is no from the Plan Commission.
Do you have any questions, criticisms, suggestions? Anyone? Wayne? Thanks, Haley.
We just bought this house recently.
Wayne, you got to come up here,
I do.
please.
I don't talk loud enough.
You
Nope.
You don't have a megaphone.
We had just bought this house recently, so we were trying to clarify about the alley because the south part of the alley is not technically vacated, but it's blocked off. So when I talked to Jim Walker, he says you cannot vacate a half an alley, you have to vacate a whole alley. So since that's blocked off, we asked to block off the north side. They're using about 12 to 14 foot of our property to actually get out of this alley, because when they put the fence up, since you couldn't get out of the alley, they put the fence at an angle, so when you come down that alley, you can actually turn to get out of the alley. So if we move the fence back over to the property line, it'll just be a T alley you can't get out of, because there's, Chuck Brimberry has a fence on their side, it's been there, what, about 40 years?
As far as I can tell, I've researched from the previous owners all the way back. It's 4 to 5 decades minimum. The other side has been closed as far back as any of the neighbors have knowledge, or anybody else in Peru I can talk to. And we put a lot of money into that side because we thought it was a shared driveway, to be honest with you. And it may still be. We're not sure with Haley exactly what it is. The other side of the alley is what he's referring to. And the history on our side apparently was it's been closed for 4 or 5 decades, and no one that currently has knowledge of it ever being opened on that end.
So before proceeding, we just thought we would ask the zoning board if we could close the alley. We're not necessarily objection of it making it a driveway back to the garages back there, but it's really not a usable alley if you actually put the fence on the property line. And the gentleman from 215 acknowledged that he pulls through that 12 to 15 foot to get out of there. So like I say, if we move the fence back over, at that point, the alley will basically be inaccessible except to go straight back and forward, because you won't be able to make a turn, because the old alleys, it's a 10-foot wide alley, number one, because our north-south alleys are not 15. So when you get back to the back, on 215, the garage sets on the alley. So, you know, there'll only be about 10 foot, and your cars are about 7 foot. So when you get back there, it just won't, I can't turn my truck right now without, you know, if the fence was there, you couldn't turn, because I have to have that 12 foot to get my truck through the alley when I pull through there. So that's all we were asking. We just wanted to clarify where we were at, not trying to raise any problems to anybody, but it doesn't look like it's been used for a number of years, so we thought, well, maybe it could be vacated. That was all. So it's up to you guys.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. And this was given an unfavorable recommendation because,
Because
The use of the neighbors use that alley to get to their garage.
that's the reason.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any other comments?
As far as the south alley being closed, where they say it's been blocked off, we have no documentation that it was ever officially closed. Now, whether they put stuff in the way and all that is another story. Nobody's complaining about it on either side. But we have no documentation that it's ever been officially closed.
And my interest was talking to Haley and the rest of the community is we purchased the home a couple of years ago because number one, it was appeared to be a shared driveway that was closed, and that was important to us. And then the history of that is at no point had it been used to anyone's knowledge as an alley ever. One of the widths of the alley is just over 8 feet wide between my property and the actual home next door. And so my guess is that has not been used as an alley like everyone else tells me for decades upon decades. The other side has been. Why that is, I have no idea, but my interest in being here was merely, we didn't put thousands of dollars into seal coating and clearing driveways to make sure it's usable for my neighbor and I to have it opened again after purchasing that home. So we were on the other end of the alley, and that's why our interest was to show up to, just to be heard.
Okay.
And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, wouldn't that just be a formality? They both come in here, the adjacent homeowners block the alley, have a shared alley and be done with it, make it legal?
Yes.
I mean, obviously your neighbors have no objection with that.
Which is what I've found out. To be honest with you, we thought it was on
Right.
our end, and it may be for all I know.
So what steps do we take for that?
You guys vote.
Were we voting to agree with the planning commission? I mean, is that,
That's your choice.
right, I mean, that's what our vote
Yes,
is,
but what's the no?
yes.
Haley, are they voting on that other half of the alley? Or they
You're only voting on the north part for this one,
Yeah, this would have
The
nothing to do
main
with
to
your
the
property.
the the north,
Main to the east-west alley.
yeah.
Correct, okay.
May I ask you a question, Mr. Brumbury?
Yeah, certainly.
I was just in high school, so I just know Mr. Brumbury, our coach. Are you working with Haley to, or,
Well, yeah, I'm getting educated on this process, to be honest with you.
okay,
My neighbor and I have already discussed, and like I said, his mother owned the home for decades before him, and it's never been open. And I said,
Okay.
well, maybe it's closed. We don't know, so we're researching, trying, with the help of the city, to try to find out on the plat map if it is closed. If it is not, working with our neighbor to then share that part of the alley, because it has no history of being open. So we're becoming educated on our end each week now.
Yes.
What happens when they close an alley, because we had one other house that we had one time, we closed the alley, is they divide that into 2 5-foot strips, and then it's put on your taxes, is how it's done. So,
But yes, I am working with Haley on that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. I move we adopt this. Second.
So the vote is to keep it like it is?
Yes or no?
Okay,
Anderson,
yes.
Guston,
No. We're
I
voting.
think we're confused on that,
Right, that's what.
yeah.
If we vote yes,
You are going to go.
we're going to vacate the
To
alley.
vacate it.
If we vote no, we are
to
not.
keep
Okay,
it
that's what I
the way
was
it's
questioning,
at.
if we were
Okay.
voting to, for their, okay, so it's,
Okay.
so mine is a no.
Okay. Justin?
No.
Clotho?
No.
Ramsey?
No.
Russell?
No.
Shahidachini?
No.
And Wolf?
No.
Okay.
Next order of business, ordinance number 8.
Ordinance 8-2020, an ordinance to rezone in the city of Peru. You might as well just stay up here.
Okay, I had the applicant, Alan Myers, come in and he was going to, he's wanting to rezone 3 parcels over on Adams and Smith Street. He's wanting to put up storage units at some point. But as of right now, they are zoned as R1s and he wants to rezone them as I1s. That's pretty much it.
Haley, I drove back there, and are they like where the trailers?
2 trailers and
Two
that.
trailers, okay.
Yes.
So it would be that would be
Yes.
storage, that would be taken down, and that would be made into storage units,
Yes.
is the plan.
Yeah, that's the
And he
plan.
owns that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you going to take a vote first to consider?
Yes, I wanted to do that before she explained, but that's okay. I move we consider ordinance number 8, 2020.
Second.
Second. What was the recommendation of the planning commission?
0 to 6, yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Clotho?
Yes.
Ramsey?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Shahidachini?
Yes.
And Wolf?
Yes.
Can we adopt this as well, since we're not dealing with the money here?
Right.
I move we adopt ordinance number 8. Second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Clotho?
Yes.
Ramsey?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Shahidachini?
Yes.
And Wolf?
Yes.
Next order of business, ordinance number 9, 2020.
Ordinance 9-2020, an ordinance to vacate an undeveloped street in the city of Peru.
I move we consider ordinance 9.
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Anderson?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Clotho?
Yes.
Ramsey?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Shahidachini?
Yes.
And Wolf?
Yes.
Go ahead, Haley.
Okay, so the owner wants the land be vacated because when they're wanting to build stuff on this land. But whenever they got the survey done, there was 50 feet. That was not within the tax, and they've been paying taxes on it for years and years. And we have found that from the north-south alley to Benton Street, we have an ordinance where it has been vacated. But from the north-south alley to North Wayne Street, there's no record of it. But on the Elevate system that we use, it says that it is on there. Plus, they've been taxed the 50 feet, so we're just trying to do it officially.
I was looking at that, and there's nothing there.
I know.
Do we have any comments on this? If not, I move we adopt ordinance number 9.
I second it.
Second.
Anderson?
Yes.
Guston?
Yes.
Clotho?
Yes.
Ramsey?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Shahidachini?
Yes.
And Wolf?
Yes.
Next is ordinance 10.
Ordinance 10-2020, an ordinance to rezone in the city of Peru.
I move we consider ordinance 10.
Second?
Anderson,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Bothell,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Piadochny.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, so on this one is 105 South Benton. It's where the old Bona Vista building used to be. It is currently zoned in I-1, and according to our ordinance, a church, the
Abundant life?
Yes, thank you. The Abundant Life has bought the old Bona Vista building, and they're wanting to put a church in there. And they've been doing remodeling, but according to our ordinance, a church cannot go into an I-1 zoning. And the Plan Commission has voted yes, 6-0, for the rezone from I-1 to B3.
Okay. Do we have any comments? If we have none, I move we adopt ordinance 10. Second.
Anderson,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Bothell,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Piadochny.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Yes.
Tom, now we'll need to amend the agenda to reflect that the additional ordinance, the CDD ordinance, to add it to the agenda and then.
I move that we add, where am I here? I've lost my paper. The CCD as part of our agenda.
Do you know what ordinance number that is? Did you hand that up to the board?
Yeah, I think I handed it up
It's
to
down
them.
there.
Where is it?
Was it this down?
Pat's got it.
What's the ordinance?
Okay. This is a resolution for 2020.
Sorry, resolution.
Resolution for 2020. I move we add this to our agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded?
Anderson,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Bothell,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Piadochny.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Yes.
Okay. I move we adopt resolution number 4, 2020.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Pete.
Anderson,
Yes.
Bothell,
Yes.
Justin,
Yes.
Ramsey,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Piadochny.
Yes.
And Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, moving right along, under communications. Does anybody have anything? Audience have anything?
Any comments? I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Captain.
Aye.